Welcome, everybody, to Boston 9/11 Truth. Today is October 2nd, 2025. Tonight we have a very special speaker, Dusty Burke from New York, who operates WestView News. And we'll get into a little more about Dusty in a little bit. Just need to read our quick disclaimer, which we read at the beginning of all our meetings. The views and thoughts and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not necessarily represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Boston 9/11 Truth. The material presented here is for general information. Boston 9/11 Truth name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners and does not imply endorsement or opposition to any specific organization or cause. Boston 9/11 Truth aims to inspire and promote action by the truth advocates who support them and their efforts. Thank you. And anyway, moving right along, I have to admit a couple of people. Hold on a second. Welcome, Dusty Burke, to Boston 9/11 Truth, this beautiful October 2nd. And you hail from New York, Manhattan, is that correct?
Yep, right here in Greenwich Village.
Wow. And you've been working at WestView News, which has been very 9/11 truth friendly over the past decade or so. And you've been deeply involved, taken over after George Capsis died this past July. So tell us a little bit more about WestView News and how you got into the publication business briefly, and how the evolution of their content included 9/11 Truth.
Well, actually, it all goes back to 9/11 and the
Okay.
America Memorial, which are thousands of hand painted tiles that hung on a chain link fence here in Greenwich Village for, well, since 9/11. And I ended up organizing an effort to save the tiles with some friends and neighbors during Hurricane Irene. And that sent us on a long journey, which led me to home. He's the publisher of Westview News, and he was going to write an article. He was going to let me write an article about the 9/11 tiles, and he ended up giving me a desk here and offering to sell me the paper. But in all of that, I've been here at the newspaper trying to support and hold space for the 9/11 tiles because I actually believe they are a national treasure. They show the heart of our country, and they show how people reacted on 9/11. And it wasn't with fear and anger, it was love, peace, hope, and patriotism. And it was really it's a beautiful thing. So we have the tiles, and now we have the newspaper and a reputation for being the conspiracy paper, unfortunately. But George, he met with Mick Harrison and the lawyers committee when they filed their petition for the criminal grand jury investigation 5 or 6 years ago, I think. And he had them here for a salon. And oddly enough, George had worked at the Twin Towers, and he built the Port Authority model for the Twin Towers at the World's Fair. So he had a deep knowledge, and he he immediately saw building 7, something was wrong. And with that, he led a long journey. We've covered most of the 9/11 milestones. And I was just reviewing all of my videos that I've created of George, and I have a lot of content that speaks to him and his involvement with 9/11 or the whole controversy in the community. So I'm hoping that I'll get some people who want to use the pages of our paper to help me say this in a way people can hear it and let people know the debate is not over, it's just beginning. So that's that's what my mission is between now and the 25th anniversary.
That's wonderful. And we saw the bus.
My
Whoops, you're cutting out.
glasses on, so I thought I saw it breeze by, but it's a 1997 Bluebird Library bus. I love it desperately. I just paint the hubcaps, but we're being filmed for Japanese television tomorrow, and they are filming their 20th anniversary show. Their first show happened to have the tiles in it. And they were asking me some pretty important questions. How the city's changed in the last 20 years, how my whole life because of this has changed. But really, they were talking about the future. And I don't feel like I'm so qualified to talk about the future, um, because I really don't know the answer. What will New York look like? What will happen? Will anyone, will anybody actually acknowledge the obvious? So I guess I'm inviting anybody out there who wants to join me on this mission next year and work on some 9/11 content, and maybe even help restore the 9/11 memorial. There are thousands of hand painted tiles. And if we work with local ceramic associations, we could get tiles made and sent to the corner, which would create a revival of sorts. And if you've not been to New York, if you look down 7th Avenue, you see the Freedom Tower, and it's where everybody watched it happen. So I just feel like we have a unique opportunity here in the heart of the village.
So these are the tiles that are on these bookshelves, right?
Yes, that's the surviving collection. There's also some at the 9/11 Memorial, the Smithsonian, and the I think some the Constitution Center I think also has some.
Okay.
But we have the opportunity, and the intersection that this happens to be on. I used to have the bus parked the wrong direction on 7th Avenue for about 5 or 6 years. And the thing about it is, two people with a sign in the crosswalk looks like a very successful rally because there's so many hundreds of people on the street, especially in the summer.
Mhm.
So they're very good corner to protest, and or not even to protest, but just to create awareness, because it's a photo op. Everyone will want to take a picture of it.
Yes, that's great. So when we talked yesterday, um, I had mentioned that it doesn't look like there had been a recent publication for WestView News. I suppose you um, hit some resistance and you have some challenges there to get it back up and running.
Yeah, well, if you follow the story of Westview News, 9/11 was such a hot button topic. Our designer rejected it with every bone in her body, and she just couldn't put 9/11 content in the paper without having heart palpitations. So she ended up partnering up with our Democratic district leader Arthur Schwartz and another girl in the production department, and they stole all our assets. They stole the template, the font, the every single thing, and we're Westview News. They produced new Westview News in an effort to try and get the paper away from me and to get me to stop talking about 9/11. So there's a big 9/11 story in the theft of our paper, which was written about in the New York Times and the New Yorker. They all got the story wrong. And George, by the way, was never my boyfriend, but they all got the story wrong because they wanted it to be about Sarah Jessica Parker and some salacious scandal with the newspaper. And it just wasn't that, unfortunately. But we do have the fracture that happened here because of that event. So a lot to be talking about and a lot of healing in our community and in our newspaper around the subject of 9/11.
So you have quite a challenge ahead of you to get it back up and running.
I sure do. And asked for help. I've never, well, my friend, I have a couple friends. We call ourselves Village Angels because we don't like to put a name on it really, but we pay for everything ourselves because we don't want anyone to ever say we went to Starbucks or we bought a new pair of shoes or something, you know. So everything has been a slow roll for us, but we're here. We got the bus. The hubcaps look good, and we're
Mhm.
going to Japanese TV tomorrow. So who knows where it'll take us.
Right, right, right. Wow. So
I don't know if anybody out in your audience has time, talent, stories, a book they wrote, a body of information they would want to put together. Uh, I have the ability to print a special edition on the subject of 9/11,
right,
um,
right.
which I thought might be a good explainer. Our paper's 48 pages, but we could do a pull-out insert that's a few inches smaller, and it could be something that people hang on to. It could be printed together with the paper or separately.
Hmm.
And, you know, I feel like there's a lot we could do, but we'll need more hands to help get it done.
Right, right.
And I've got no 9/11 people in my current camp who want to work on this.
Oh boy.
They'll all run the other direction. So,
Oh, so you're still dealing with resistance within the paper.
well, we also came out and yeah, you know what? It's not so much resistance to the topic because the people here who are left, they know the truth, but they're just trying to think politically correct in their minds. What if
Mm,
our readership? What if people stop reading us because we keep pursuing the truth? We're like a dog on a bone, or they
mm,
don't like the facts that we're presenting. They may stop reading us. But honestly, I don't care. It's not that I don't care, but for every person who doesn't want to read our newspaper because we're challenging them to think, there'll be two other people who will find it refreshing.
right, right. Well, it gets back to what newspapers are supposed to be, journalism, not a business.
Right.
Yeah. But you do have to stay afloat. Do you are you looking for specific advertisers to print in your paper or sponsors?
Well, if anyone knows a company who would be interested in becoming an advertiser, that'd be beautiful. If any,
Uh-huh.
maybe again, people who have books or products or different kinds of
Right.
companies that want to advertise, great. Uh, I was also thinking of offering sponsorships. I thought if we could get a group of 10 or 12 people to donate $10,000, that would pay for a production run of the paper. It would pay for about 10,000 copies. And
Uh-huh.
I could also offer uh, smaller production, like if people want to finance a certain amount of papers and maybe they even have a zip code they want it in, or maybe there are a lot of people watching who would probably have a long list of people who've been frustrated over the years by the subject, and you could give them a subscription to WestView News, and when the paper arrives, which they're going to love because it's so cool, uh, they're going to get little nuggets of truth about things, but they're going to get it from a source that they can trust.
Mm-hmm.
Not a conspiracy paper. We're one of the best community papers in the country, probably.
That, that's fantastic. So at the height of your readership, what did that reach?
Well, we used to deliver to most every doorstep from 14th Street to Houston and 5th to the river. And then we have a long list of advertisers from Russia and China and all over the place.
Mhm.
So we say you don't have to live in New York to be a New Yorker. A lot of people want to know what's happening here. Um, so yeah, it can, we have subscriptions. That's very helpful.
Mhm.
And we are going to be putting together crowdfunding. I'm a Luddite. Funny enough that I'm in this position because social media is not my strong suit. But I believe that we'll get some people on board who will be able to help us take flight.
So that special edition, you're planning that for the 25th anniversary, is that correct?
Well, I'm planning to do something big for the 20th anniversary. I don't know what that is. The bus has two projector screens that go 10 by 10 and a very big PA system. We can roll up anywhere and throw a party for 150 in about 5 minutes. So we might print a couple of special editions throughout the year. We might be able to take this as a Q&A for our readers. We might be able to get people to fact check things. We might be able to take 10 people who are adamant in their positions and ask them if they'll help us break down some of this information. And in doing so, I think that if we can get a small group of core people in the community to soften around the edges, then I think other people will feel licensed to start thinking other ways.
Yeah, that sounds good. And you just never know what kind of advertisers really do support what you do. Um, I'm thinking, for example, there's a health freedom radio show locally here, and it's on a weekly basis, so it's not part of the whole radio show. It's just their 1 hour once a week on that particular radio show. But they have to dig up their own sponsors,
Right,
and they have people who pet supplies, natural food stores. They have things that aren't related directly to health freedom, but these sponsors want to support the show.
right.
So, their ads aren't necessarily health freedom content, but
That,
it keeps the show running each week. There's the garage clean out people and
right,
all kinds of
right.
things.
All those are important. Well, our
Yeah,
advertisers would have to be local or an online service that anybody could use. Otherwise, it wouldn't really make a lot of sense.
right.
We can write articles about things and do reviews of people's books if anyone's written a great book on 9/11 or we really I think we should. I wanted to do something. Sorry, I have silver paint. I'm just noticing all over my face. Um,
See
I,
it.
I wanted to do something for George's birthday in December and maybe use that as an opportunity to kick off a conversation and kind of honor him for having the courage to let the 9/11 families and the 9/11 community and their lawyers have a platform. And from that, I thought we could maybe eke it out until the 25th anniversary, just starting that conversation. I'm not so worried um, about getting ads because the advertisers will come. We already had a pretty strong stable of advertisers. It's just getting all the moving parts together and the clear, clean stories.
Right, right. And of
And
course, you'll be covering everything local in your area as well, not just 9/11, current events too as well.
yeah, we'll be covering whatever is happening in the community. But
Mhm.
in that, we have letters to the editor, we have news and views, we have a couple of sections where people could uh, send a letter to the editor with a 9/11 question that we could respond to and link to articles. We have a section in the back, the calendar section, which I wanted to increase by close to 20 pages because I really want to draw people here for art and culture. And I think it's, I think that I just think it's the better way to present all the information.
Yep.
And in that, I wanted to do who we're following. So we can go online and say who we're following on Substack, who we're following on YouTube, who we're following in the health and wellness area. So within our community paper, we can reach a broader audience.
That sounds great. So you started off with content right on 9/11, on 9/11. Um, but when did it take a turn for 9/11 truth?
Well, on our first issue, if you go to westview.news.org and you put in 9/11, you'll see the first article that we published. Does a conspiracy theory hide a conspiracy?
Oh,
And I told Barbara Honegger and Mick and the lawyers committee, I said, there are only three people that matter in Greenwich Village. If you want to wake up the community, it's George Capsis, Barry Benepe, that was my publisher, Barry Benepe, who is 98. I think he just passed away. He started the farmers markets and worked on the parks, and he's very well respected. And a local architect, Brian Pape, who is on community board too. And both George and Brian Pape are on board. They believe there needs to be an investigation. And I've got some really pretty good footage of George talking about we need an investigation. It was only Barry Benepe that we didn't crack. But yeah, once there's only a couple of people in the community and they're connected to all the politicians. And once, there's a little crack and once the light starts creeping in, this is ground zero. Like you can roll a bowling ball down the street and hit the Freedom Tower. So
right. So
this is
you said tomorrow you're going to be on a radio show. Is that right?
actually tomorrow. There's a Japanese firm that contacted me and they've been in business for 20 years. Their first episode, I believe, had something to do with the 9/11 tiles. So they're shooting an anniversary show for their 20th anniversary. And they're going back and revisiting to see where the tiles now, and they want to know about the future.
Oh.
And I'm terrified. It's in the morning, and it's a Japanese audience, and I make sure I say the right things.
Yeah. You
uh,
don't speak Japanese, I presume.
well, no, I don't speak Japanese, but I'm sure it's going to be English or subtitle.
Right.
Um, I just I feel like the message that we're putting out tomorrow on that bus is a message of peace, hope, freedom, camaraderie amongst nations. Like there has to be a very succinct message
And a positive one.
and a positive one. And they had Hiroshima, we had 9/11. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't really know. I really don't even know what I'm going to say. I think my mouth will just open and it will fall out tomorrow.
Well, if they're good interviewers, they'll bring it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, and guide you through what thread works. So, the bus.
the
Your
bus.
plans, you're still refurbishing the bus, is that correct?
The bus, I've pretty much refurbished the bus. I probably need. I mean, I could drive it off the lot as it is right now and just go do business off of it and create awareness. But there are some things it needs. I'm going to probably have to spend about another $15,000 between. Uh, I want to put a rack on the top so that we can actually go around and give speeches different places and have an audience. We have umbrellas and tables and chairs and all kinds of things on the bus. We can do food setup, projections, like I mentioned earlier. So, uh, yeah, there's a list of some things that we do need for the bus, but it's mechanically in great shape.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it had a nice paint job on it and some good branding, but this is a real grassroots movement that you're looking at. Like, see the paint on my face and my hands. That's you know out in the parking lot having Mexican food with my girlfriend. And hopefully it'll take over the neighborhood soon.
Soon. Wow. That's great. Wow, that's very exciting. Are you doing a crowdfunding or anything like that to help with that 15,000?
I keep threatening to do one, but I have not put one up yet, and I better do it really quick, right?
Hmm.
I will put something up in the next couple of days.
Okay.
And if anybody has, especially content, stories, content, books, 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 books,
Yeah.
great. online also, another thing that people could do once the paper comes out and we know there's some 9/11 content, if people could jump in on the chat section, because the best information and links are in the chat section,
Right.
and everybody will go down and read what are the neighbors saying and what are people saying. So that would be something very helpful that people who are interested in the topic could do to share their knowledge.
That's great. So keep us in touch with whatever links we can help spread out there for to help to draw other people in besides this, which is going to be published on Rumble. Um, but for our email list and Facebook and what have you, if keep us in touch with whatever crowdfunding you're looking for, that sort of thing will help us where we can.
Marvelous. And that also inspires me to say we could also feature the different 9/11 organizations and how they began. And I mean, it's been a long time. A lot of people have been at this for a long time. And it would be to focus on some of the heroes and some of the wins that we've been having.
Right, right. Yeah.
Wins, actually.
Well, I know the Lawyers Committee has advertised in your paper.
Right.
Yeah, so that's always been very helpful.
Yeah. We barely got them in every time. It was like it was dukes up in the production room, and it was like a little scuffle over.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to censor in journalism, but anyway.
Yeah. She actually, one of our, Brian Pape wrote an article about the Hulsey report saying that it did not come down by fire. And she actually edited the title of his article to say, instead of it did not, she said it may not. And she changed a quote, somebody's quote from did not to, oh, maybe it didn't.
Oh
It,
my goodness.
yeah.
To actually change a quote, that's
Yeah. And
horrible.
the last article that Barbara Honegger wrote, the girl was so distraught. She refused to publish it for a couple months, and then she put a box around it, like a black box with some kind of color, I think, and wrote advertorial, like it was kryptonite. And she refused. That was like right. That was the one of the last straws about her leaving the paper and stealing the template.
Wow.
Anyway, so
Well, at this point, would you like to take on some questions?
sure.
Okay, Al, we have you first in the queue. So,
Sure, I wrote in the I wrote in the chat if you're looking for stories, lost911truth.org. We had a tab that said meet the members. And I think there were at the time they did the interview about 6 members that told their stories of how they got involved and their whole history of coming to Boston, coming to 9/11 Truth. So I would suggest, if you're looking for, uh, for your paper, that might be something you'd want to look at. The other thing I thought of while you were talking was Gene and Sandra of the War Room have a projector that they used in New York during I've forgotten what year it was. But with your bus, that thing made a huge impression. They were down at well, it was what I forgot the street. They were in a hotel and they projected this. I can't remember what. Anyway, but
Right
you
now.
can't miss it. Amazing.
oh, we lost Al. Um, anyway,
Great.
Jean, do you happen to have that picture available to share?
Give me. He's looking for it, and just to explain a little bit better what Al was trying to say, we were at the Millennium Hotel. We were on the 17th floor, and we had a laser projector that you could program any message you wanted and any font you wanted in any direction you wanted, like it could be horizontal or vertical. And so we cracked the window open just a little bit and we projected onto the post office and we projected the message 9/11 was an inside job. And so we put, I don't know if you guys can see the screen.
Can you enlarge it?
No, we have much better pictures
Yeah, I
than that.
do have a better picture. I just can't find it right now.
There we go.
Wow, that's great.
Isn't
So
that cool?
we projected it onto that corner and went for supper. And when we came back, there was a whole bunch of NYPD officers downstairs on walkie-talkies and looking up at it and taking pictures. And there was another couple of squad cars at the corner of the Millennium, and we're like, oh boy, we're in trouble. So we rushed back into the hotel, rushed back up to the 17th floor, took the thing down. So it had been up there for a couple of hours. And about 15 minutes later, there was a knock at our door, and it was hotel security, and they wanted to know if we were the ones projecting a laser image onto the post office. And we're like, yeah, but we took it down already. Don't worry about it. And they said, we don't want to create any trouble for this could get the hotel in trouble, and we'd appreciate if you, if you didn't do that, and so on. And so we, Gene felt we should have like just said, you know what, we're going to do it anyway. But we also didn't want to create trouble, so we took it down. But it created quite a stir, and yeah, so that's one of the tools. There you go. There's the video that he took.
You can see the Port Authority officers in white shirts there. One guy takes out his camera. He's taking a picture of it. They're trying to figure out where this image is coming from.
Yeah, they traced it back to the little green dot in our window. So that's how they figured out that it was and sent hotel security up. That was it.
But we digress anyway.
So now that
That's wonderful to know about.
yeah, I'm listening to you, and I literally had to make a list of all the things that I desperately wanted to say.
Oh, good.
I'm going to try to make this as short as possible. First thing, and it's still very much in the air because it's like 11 months away at this point. We just had a very successful event in Washington, D.C. that we helped organize, 3-day event. I don't know how much about it you know. The reason we did it are you aware? No? The Turning the Tide event?
Well, I've been out of the loop since George died. I haven't turned on the TV once, I don't think.
Okay. So, well, it wouldn't have been on TV, that's for sure. But we did have a 3-day event. And the reason we had it in Washington was because of all our efforts now with Congress, with Senator Ron Johnson supporting us, publicly, officially. And so we had him,
Right.
a sitting senator, come to our event along with 3 former congressmen, Kurt Weldon, Dana Rohrabacher, and Dennis Kucinich. They were all there in support of 9/11 truth.
Right.
And so now so now we decided we're not going to wait till the last minute to organize something. So we're starting like now. And part of the debate is, do we do it in Washington again, considering the developments and the potential hearings that they might have, or do we have it in New York? Some of us feel strongly that it should be in New York. It's both of us. I mean, Gene and I have been in New York for the last few years, on the anniversary, and it's where it happened. It's where it should be. It's where the heart of it is. So all this to say, there's a good chance that the 25th anniversary, we're planning a really big event, probably 4 days. So I think that if it's going to be in New York, I think you need to be part of our discussions because we need to coordinate you, whether it's for the newspaper, whether it's for the bus. I mean, there are so many things we can do with that. And so that's one thing. Check off one box. The other thing I wanted to say was, as far as contributions to the paper, all of our organization, whether I don't want to speak for AE because they weren't involved in this, but whether it's Lawyers Committee, their International Center, or the various truth groups, the firefighters for 9/11 Truth, I'm sure that they would want to contribute something. And, you take someone like Madhavassetti, who was our introductory speaker at the event, who is extremely well spoken. He's an anesthesiologist, used to be an engineer, who writes marvelously. He's got his own Substack, and I'm sure he would agree, as would many others. So we need to connect with all of those. Third thing, New York. Uh, there are firefighters that are coming on board now.
Right.
There's, I don't know, Richard Bielicki, who was
And
there on that day in Building 7. Richard Rotans, whatever his title is, some, really high-ranking something. He's coming around very strongly, and they're New Yorkers. They would want to be part of this effort somehow, some way. I'm not sure how. Third of all, personally, or fourth of all, I lost track. I write. I can send you, stuff that I've written. Maybe there's a way that I can contribute. I'd love to somehow, some way we can coordinate that between the two of us. Next, universities. Susan mentioned the need to get the younger generation involved. We're all getting older.
Right.
Um, we need the young people on board. I'm thinking your bus at universities, giving out information, like that's got to happen somehow, some way. If it's not in New York, I don't know where it happens. Um, and yeah, you need social media. I'm just underlining that. I agree with you. Social media would be critical. Even if it's not you, you need to find someone who does it. And also, we are part of an international call once a month, and we are connected with Jan van Aken from the Netherlands, who he has just taken over, print media company, and he has his own monthly newspaper where they put out content every month. I don't know, you could maybe do something in coordination with him, or, maybe I'm just putting it on your radar. There's someone out there doing this, and, there might be some value in connecting between the two of you to exchange ideas or whatever.
That'd be
So that's pretty much it.
that
Angela, how do you get on that call, that international call?
International, well, it started basically in 2015 following Richard's European tour. And
Mhm.
he made a lot of contacts at the time. And he said it would be really a shame just to lose all of these contacts and let them sicker into, like, nowhere land. And so Jan and I kind of involved, got put in charge of like throwing this thing together, contacting all these people. Richard gave us the list, and so at the time it was a phone call. It was there was no Zoom back then, so we had a group of like maybe 20 people, 15, 20 people who came every month. So they were all mostly in Europe. We had a couple in Russia, we had one in Japan, one in China. So couple of in Australia. So it was really a kind of like everybody but Americans, essentially, because the Americans had all their own groups anyway. And then we had to change formats, and we were forced to bring it down to 8 participants. We were limited to 8, and then we lost a few people. But when COVID happened and Zoom happened, we got some of them back. So now it's just, yeah, it's still basically Europeans, and mostly Europeans, but we have one calls in from Australia. Anyways, so it's to coordinate efforts outside of the States, basically.
So it's by invite.
It is by invite. Yeah, pretty much.
And how would Dusty get invited?
Oh, I would, yeah, I'll send her the information, and it happens on the fourth Monday of every month. At 2:30 Eastern. So, and you don't need to come to the call, but I would just put you in touch with Jan specifically, because he has this newspaper business and this magazine that he puts out every month, and he would be in your field of expertise, if you will.
right.
Been doing it for a long time. He organizes an event every 9/11. There's like 300 people who show up. So he's very he's you know he's very adept at what he's doing. He walks the walk, you know.
Well, that's wonderful because for me, it's my dream to get a group of people like that, a subscription to WestView News, so that it can show up in Switzerland, in China, wherever, and people can go look what they're saying in New York about 9/11 now.
Mhm.
No,
Online edition also,
for
or
any,
I don't
pardon
think you heard the question.
me.
is the Westview News also an online paper?
Yes, we're online, but you can get a PDF of the actual paper online, and people like to see the ads and the way it's all put together. So it's a little bit different. But the real beauty of it is that it comes to your house. And if you want to get this information in front of somebody and you send them that paper, even if they don't want to read the paper, they have to pick it up to throw it away.
Right.
But I think most people will really enjoy the paper. People look forward to it because it's unpredictable, it's intellectual, it's nonpartisan, and it's really a joy to read, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's got interesting, kernels of information. We've talked about a lot of things: 5G, fluoride, you know, uh, the smart meters. We are champions for the people. We wrote about remdesivir, and you know, we we have a reputation amongst certain people for being a very truthful newspaper.
Yeah, that's great.
I brought it up on screen.
Oh yeah, that's if you go down to where it says PDF, somewhere there's a PDF. If you go down, we don't have ads on our paper right now, but we probably will in the future because that's I guess how you make some money. Somewhere you'll see it says PDF, and if you click on that,
All the way at the
it,
bottom.
it might be higher up.
It's on the top at the right.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't go online very often.
Move that out of my view.
Top right.
Scroll all the way back up, Sue. There you go.
Oh, archive PDF. There we go. June 24th. That's the latest edition you've had.
Yes, that's our last edition. And so
Yeah. So, what's
and
your timeline on getting it back up and running on a monthly basis?
if you click on the paper, it'll actually open up to the paper, I think. I'm hoping to get something out in December, more like a special edition. And then in January, I wanted to start.
Okay. So subscriptions, there we go. You still have subscribers, though, is
That
that correct?
I don't have to worry about scraping their ads. I want to focus on content,
Mhm.
and I have ads that I can comp people just to fill the paper and not have to worry about it. And then as things move forward,
That's
I'll
definitely
focus on
doable.
that. I just want to hit the ground.
But 6 months, $12. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think we can all do that, right? And so advertising, there we go. That's pretty good prices for advertising in a newspaper. The business size cards. So, yeah. Full page, $10,000 for 12 months. Ooh, that's kind of rich for my taste. But hey, somebody would do it. Right. So we have another question.
We could advertise,
Oops.
so we could advertise Boston 9/11 Truth
Yeah.
and the War Room.
Yep. We could do that. Yeah. So that's part of our agenda to go through our financial report. Did we lose Dusty? Where is she? Oh, there she is. Just her picture is gone. All right. Um, So next we have Bob Runyon has a question. Go ahead, Bob. You're muted. You're mute, still
Mute.
mute.
Okay. Are we there yet? Okay. Question for Dusty. How far into the control, the quote conspiracy theory thing? I personally have this theory that you can know that 9/11 wasn't what the government says it was without so much as thinking the word conspiracy. But there are particular factions that will embrace the towers in 7 were demolished by controlled demolition. But if you want to talk about airplanes, no, don't talk about airplanes. Where do you fit in with this?
Well, that's a very good question. You mean what do I believe, or what have we published in our newspaper, or?
Well, okay. What would you approach as far as publishing in the newspaper? Because just recently there was an airport accident with 2 Delta Airlines aircraft that one of the aircraft completely lost a wing, and there was not enough shock to the aircraft to actually cause any serious injuries. So that tells me that aircraft are vulnerable to damage in various ways. And the idea of 2 different aircraft making wing-shaped gashes in the World Trade Center towers is absolutely an insult to human intelligence. But
Right.
as my take on the subject, but there you go. Would you print an editorial where that subject was brought up?
Well, I had some thoughts about that. Funny that you mention it. If you go online, Google holograms of whales in Dubai, or there's a technology that they use, and in Dubai they made whales and fish swimming through the sky, and in LA they did a video game and they had a demon come out of the sky and he was grabbing down and there was noise and you can make heat and fire. And I thought it would be wonderful to do an article about the technology and how far it has been advanced, because then in the chat thing people can jump on and start talking about other things and it can open up that conversation. But I think if you talk about planes, people are like, but if you talk about that, they said, oh yeah, they do have that capability, and then they see with the nose poking through the other side or something. Yeah,
there's a whole bit about the anomalies of the plane and the alleged crashes and everything. And even without talking about holograms, it can be shown that planes just can't do what was allegedly done. And I come at this from very much applied physics angle of this is the way natural law dictates that this stuff goes down, and you can't do it.
I'm not sure. I actually have. I don't know if you can see them, but can you see? I have the models.
Beautiful.
Of the Twin Towers, and let's see. I can't really see what I'm doing, but
we
maybe
see it.
Can you all see that? And it's interesting to me. I'm going to try and see if I can do this. The towers. Here's the Woolworth building, and somebody said, oh, they shot a missile off the Woolworth building, and it happened to hit the building, right on the side. If you look at the line of sight in this one, so that's odd to me, and I want someone to explain that to me. And I find it also very interesting, as an aside, that Steve Witkoff owned the Woolworth Trade Center at the time. I mean, the Woolworth building at the time. And there was a security, Bo Dietl, who's big in security now, had the top half of that Woolworth building. It was completely emptied out because they were going to do construction there. Anyway, just interesting.
Well, it would be a tremendous, in terms of firing a missile from that building, you would have an entire floor that would basically be taken out by, whether it was a solid fueled or liquid fueled rocket. It would completely destroy the interior of whatever was there. It would have to be remotely fired, and it would cause some very serious harm to the building where it was being fired from. But that's a whole nother thing. That's
I don't know about any of that. I just know the building was entirely empty. They had gutted
mm-hmm,
it. They were getting ready to
yeah,
turn it to condos, and a security
mm-hmm,
company had the top floor, which Bo
yeah,
Dietl, he had a nuclear missile expert working for him at the time. He originally worked for
mm-hmm,
Bush, and then he went and worked for the Crown, and then he came back to work for Bo Dietl. So I just thought that was an interesting connection that
mm-hmm,
he was on top of the Woolworth building, and the Port Authority
mm-hmm,
did come online and say that. And there is a video. You can see something shooting off the building.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that. You'll find it.
Yeah. I just one last thing, as you being a member of the press, I remember a JFK speech where he told members of the press, "It's your job. If this administration screws something up, you shine a light on that because you're the press and that's your job." And
Right.
I was like, "Oh yeah." It was uh, absolutely fabulous. It's one of the, I think the last decent president we have was JFK, but that's my thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Aside from 9/11, George has never backed a politician because he said he may have to attack you if you're doing something bad. He doesn't care if
Mm-hmm.
you have to with an ad or not. He still will call you out. And um, he supported RFK Jr. because he said if he could clean up the Hudson, he could probably clean up Washington. And he really thought that he was saying some solid, sensible things. And, if you look, he's got all these books. Oh, it's not, that's the wrong direction. All the books here are, he's read lots of Kennedy stuff, lots of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so we took a lot of fire for supporting Kennedy, but we have a lot of health freedom people who are fans of the paper as well.
Very good.
All
So
right.
I think this is a way that we, approach people gently. And we also need someone, if there's a therapist out there who could talk about cognitive dissonance and,
Mm-hmm.
how to, you know, a lot of people, it makes them feel very unsafe to know that who did this? Did the government do it? Like, how's this possible? And
Mm-hmm.
people
Our,
need psychologically unpacking it.
our very own founder of Boston 9/11 Truth, Chris Gruner, he was a therapist. He's retired now. Um, and he learned about 9/11 Truth through one of his patients.
Really.
Yes, and of course, you're probably familiar with Fran Shore of Colorado and 9/11 Truth. She talks about this all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know all the 9/11 groups like I should. I kind of, just ended up here. This was not my mission in life.
right.
But, you know,
Yeah.
I I ended up with the tiles, and I feel like the tiles are going to be the thing that heals the country because they're primitive messages painted by some of the people never even picked up a paintbrush before, and they it's like a snapshot. It's like postcards from heaven, a snapshot of how people were feeling at the time. And I
Yes.
think that if we could rekindle that spirit, people want to do something. There's nothing they can do. Well, this is something you can do. You can go paint a tile. You can write a message. You can do something simple.
That's wonderful. Yeah, actually, we could probably do that in our own backyard too. I was taking a little nature walk about a month ago and passed a house that had stones, various sizes between 6 and 3 inches with little positive messages painted on them in bright colors. And I thought, oh, what a lovely idea.
Hmm.
They were just in her yard that had mulch so that there wasn't overgrown with weeds or anything. So you could sit there and ponder and read these messages on the stone. So that's something else we could do as, you know, activists just in our own neighborhoods, paint some stones with these messages and put
There's
them in the yard.
There's a company called the Ceramics Association of America, the CCSA, and if we could get some cooperation with them, then they're in every state. People could just go with a group of 10 of their friends and make tiles and send them in a box.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea.
And I think if people saw messages coming in from all over the country, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, I don't know if it's possible for somebody to bring up an aerial photo of that corner, but that corner is where we should have an event next year. People don't realize that's where everybody in the village came out. St. Vincent's Hospital, which is now a luxury condo, um, they took out this 160-year-old hospital after 9/11, and it was the only level 1 trauma center on the Lower West Side. So there's no hospital now for the Lower West Side. You have to get ferried across town, or they put you in an ambulance and drive you up into the 70s. So that was a big deal, and this is where they watched it happen. Everyone would have been out mobbing the streets there, and there's famous shots of the gurneys with no people and the sheets flapping in the wind. So there's an AIDS memorial park where people can hang out, and like I said, a couple of people in the crosswalk with the sign. It's a Kodak moment for anybody in traffic from any direction with a phone.
That sounds great. So
Yeah.
we now have one more question. Roy McCoy, go ahead.
Yeah, you said you're looking for material for the paper.
Yes.
I was actually trying to contact you some months ago, and I called the phone number that I could find, and there was an answering.
Uh-oh. I think he's lost his internet. It's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
Thank you so much, by the way. I forgive me for keeping anyone waiting at the beginning. I was like so desperate to get my
That's
bus
all
pick.
right. We switched around and did some of our agenda before you joined, and we'll just finish the agenda after this. So
Okay.
it works.
I'm so excited about the possibilities. I feel like this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year.
It is. I think it is too. It's feeling good.
Yeah.
We lost Roy altogether. He lost the connection. Um, so any other questions? Comments?
That's true. I got a lobster for you.
What's that?
Chris? Was that you talking, Chris?
Oh.
Nope. He didn't have.
I was gone. I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Good. You have a.
Yeah, this happens all the time on my 9/11 Zoom calls, as Gina and Sandra can testify.
Wow.
Anyway, I was saying that if Dusty puts her current email address in the chat, I'll have that too, right too.
Sure. I have to apologize for my communications right now. Everything was in George's corporate name, and I own the newspaper now. It's transferred to me, but things are still transferring over. So the phone, the internet, different things are, off and on different days, but I've secured most of the numbers. Now I just have to figure out how to get Apple ID to put a new credit card so I can, my emails are not coming through that it says the storage is run out. So I'll put my contact information in the chat. And
okay,
yeah.
okay, I'll save the chat and then I'll have it.
Marvelous.
Can you do that right? Can you do that right now? Maybe.
Try. I'm not at these kind of calls, so let's see. Stop video.
Should be a ribbon at the bottom where it says chat.
Yeah, let's see. I see the ribbon at the bottom.
Just click on chat and should be able to.
Oh, chat. Okay, here we go. Boop.
Yeah.
Okay. So
All right. And then when you're done, you can click send.
okay. Okay. Boop.
There it is.
Okay.
Okay.
I hope I did it right. I don't have my glasses on. Let's see, news.org.
It
601
says
737.
It's
it
Go
says go,
Dusty.
Go
go
Dusty.
Dusty
Yeah.
B.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not taking messages right now with that email because it's full and I don't know how to attach a new credit card. So anyway, it'll take a minute to figure out the email thing, but it will work in a couple days.
Okay, thank you.
Marvelous. Marvelous.
Thank
And
you, Roy.
and last thing I'll say, we write about a lot of different topics. So, I mean, I know this is a 9/11 call, but if any of you have a fabulous friend who's working on something that's very important, be sure and send them our way.
Will do. That's great. Yeah, because a
Yep,
lot of us are involved in other things as well.
that's right.
Hmm.
Once you fall down the rabbit hole, you start figuring so many different things are wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But even not rabbit holes, we're involved in music and other things
right.
as well.
Well, we're expanding our arts and entertainment section, and I'm hoping that we can be known for our culture and our intellectual uh, articles,
Hmm.
and I think that we're going to be known as a place where you can find alternate facts.
Well, you must be very excited being getting this running again.
I'm a little terrified, but I'm excited. But before I always had George, and I like to remain in the shadows, so I could always hide behind him. Now there's no one to hide behind. You know,
Oh,
so I don't like putting my name on things. I've noticed that ever since I saved the tiles or organized the effort, I've been under attack by a lot of people, and so yeah,
wow.
I've it's unbelievable. So, but that's what
Well,
happens when you're speaking inconvenient truth.
well, this is how we grow.
This is how we grow. Well, I'm super excited. Bless you all and your wonderful efforts. And look at your beautiful smile. You just are beautiful. And
Well,
I'm so excited. We get to take our country back. I just saw in Europe they're all protesting the IDs. Did you see that? They're out in the
oh
streets and they're
yes.
saying, "Oh hell no!" Yeah.
One of our firefighters for 9/11 Truth put the digital ID with his finger. Here's my digital ID.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. Keir Starmer, no wait, no, Palantir put out a video of how it's going to be like when the social ID is the digital ID is out, and I just don't even know how to live in that world.
Right, right.
The young people don't know the difference. I
Well,
should pay cash.
this is one of our challenges with reaching out to the young people because they're a different mindset. They grew up with technology. They embrace the virtual world. Uh,
Right.
so that's one of our challenges in reaching out to them is to how to speak their language and reel them in. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about the schools, and I've spoken with the journalism school at NYU and at CUNY, and I've got a couple people who want to work on the bus right now. One of them is a puppeteer, a political puppeteer named Elliot Crown, and in fact, now that I think about it, he invited me to that event that you guys just had. I didn't put together what it was, but he wants to do some stuff on the bus, but I want to pull that bus up at Washington Square Park where all those young kids are. And I want these students to pile out of it and start interviewing people like man on the street. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Because the conversations that we can get and the quotes that we can get from these young people, and especially if we have food in the, I mean, I have a nice setup. When I'm set up, it's like a very nice setup. And it's folksy and it's not slick. It's just perfect. I think that we're gonna, I don't know. I'm excited. That's all I can say.
Yes, and we're very excited to have you with us, and stay in touch. Especially with updates on your efforts with getting the paper going back up again. Uh,
Yeah.
and we'll work together on that as best we can. So I'm so grateful for what you're doing, and you're joining us tonight. And I hope that when this is published, it'll be a big help for you.
No, it's going to be great. And as you were talking, I was going to say we could even put something like the Hopper and where all the articles come in, and we could just put something on the website where people can just keep dropping in 9/11 content for consideration for the special edition, but anybody can go in and read the comment and look at the charts. And I think that that could be very interesting because we get a lot of good content compiled together. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lot to think about. So you'll call me back. We'll have more conversations and,
Excellent.
make
Yeah.
some magic happen.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you again, Dusty. It's been an incredible pleasure having you here tonight with us all. And thank you, participants, with your questions and keeping the conversation going. Before we sign off, I just want to announce our next speaker is October 16th, and we're going to actually have two speakers, Paul Zaremka and Craig McKee. So stay tuned. See you then.
Great for us. You can find Craig.